All I knew was I needed to make $2,000 the next month to pay the bills and feed the kids. We see all of our clients, we fill in a fact find and say, have you got a will? Invariably they say no. There must be something in it. At the end of it, a guy shook me by the hand and said, congratulations, you're a will writer. I went, oh, really? 2 days. Wow.
Hi, I'm Freya. Welcome to the Skynet Chronicles, Business in the AI Age, the podcast that dives deep into the world where artificial intelligence meets business. Join us as we explore the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities in this ever-evolving landscape. From innovative startups to established enterprises, we'll uncover the secrets behind the successful integration of AI technologies. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and get ready to unlock the mysteries of business in the AI age.
Good morning and welcome to the Skynet Chronicles, Nick.
Morning.
So, Nick Ash, Wills and Probate Mastermind. Tell us a bit about your journey.
Yeah, they call me the most respected estate planner in the UK,
That's a tagline.
Which is quite cool. And I'm quite proud to own that one, to be honest with you. I guess it all started back in 2005 when I was made redundant by a large insurance company. I was working on a rolling contract, and every October they used to renew my contract. So I remember phoning them in around about July 2005 and saying, contract's up for renewal. And they went, yeah, about that.
And was this a large insurer in Peterborough?
This was, it was one of the larger insurers in Peterborough. I won't embarrass them by naming names, but it was. So I was 42 years old, wife, 2 young kids to support. Because it was contract work, I didn't get any redundancy pay, and I knew I didn't want to work for anybody else ever again. So, it wasn't the greatest of positions to be in. All I knew was I needed to make $2,000 the next month to pay the bills and feed the kids. And my brother, who was a financial advisor at the time, said, I've heard about this thing called will writing. We see all of our clients, we fill in a fact find and say, have you got a will? Invariably they say no. There must be something in it. I looked online. I found the Society of Will Writers, which seemed to be like the main membership body.
That was the badge.
That was the badge. They did a 2-day induction course. So I travelled down to Ross-on-Wye, having parted with £995 that I couldn't afford, to do their 2-day induction course. And at the end of it, a guy shook me by the hand and said, congratulations, you're a will writer. I went, oh, really? 2 days.
Wow.
And I said to him, how many people will actually ever write a will? There's 15 people on the course. I said, how many people on this course will ever write a will for like profit? And he went, honestly, 1 or 2. And I said, well, I'm your one because I've got an appointment on the way home tonight. And he said, you've got what? I said, I've got an appointment on the way home tonight. And he went, well, good luck. He said, don't forget, you can phone the technical helpline in the morning. So I went to see my first clients, and I walked in and they said, our situation's complex. And I was like, they told me on the course, everybody says their situation's complex. And they said, we're married. And that was tick. We haven't got any children. Oh, we're off script. Anyway, long story short, it turns out they had £5 million worth of assets, most of which were held in offshore share options. They wanted to set up a charitable trust to benefit a bunch of animal charities.
So a little bit more than a basic will to start
It was
with,
more
then.
than the 2-day course had covered, to be honest with you.
Just a little.
And so they went off. I went off to do some research and come back to them with, some recommendations and a price, as you would. Didn't say I couldn't do it, didn't say I could do it at that point. And I phoned the technical helpline. And their response was, "Oh, you poor sod. That's your first appointment?" And I was like, "Yeah." They went, "Oh, you'll never get one as complicated as that again." I was like, "Okay, so what do I do?" And they said, "Find a large firm of local solicitors and see if somebody will give you a referral fee." I said, "But I can't. I'm their will writer. I've been introduced to them as their will writer. I need to give them an answer and I need to provide them with a service." And they said, "We're sorry, we can't help you." I phoned the Charities Commission because they wanted to set up a charitable trust. Charities Commission were amazingly helpful. I had a 20-minute phone call with them, downloaded some stuff off the internet, which in 2005 was quite a chore. Hung up the phone, dialed up the internet, downloaded the form, ba-ding, phoned them back and said, "I've downloaded it," after like 40 minutes, and they said, "All right, well, we'll tell you how to fill the form in." And they did, and that was great. Fast forward 18 years, I'm now a member of the Professional Standards Board for the Society of Will Writers. I'm a consultant to their technical helpline. We never say find a
large
find a
firm of
local
solicitors.
solicitor and see if you can get a referral fee. I have responsibility for the oversight and governance of over 2,000 members. So I think we've come a long way.
Yeah, moved a little bit beyond that badge.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Superb. So wills and probate was a starting point.
Yep.
You've diversified the business into a variety of different angles around that offer, haven't you?
Yeah, so we rebranded the company last year to W&P Legal because will and probate services didn't represent what we did anymore. We are firmly in the elder care, disabled care market. We don't sort of stray from that very much at all. It's all around planning for later life, making sure that you and your family are secure, making sure that if you need care or are looking for care, then we can help you with the right planning and make sure you've got the right legal documentation in place. And last year that led to the launch of a new company, ClearLines, which is the UK's first care onboarding solution for care providers, which we're very proud of. It's something we're developing as an app with AI, with yourselves, and looking very promising. It's been really well received. However, we haven't got to the $64,000 piece yet because nobody's paid for it as yet.
I think if you've got enough interest converts into money in the long term, doesn't it?
Well,
and I think
we
the
launched,
offer is there. It is a great product.
Yeah.
It meets a need. So
we launched at the Care Show, and over the course of 2 days, we got 110 different people who expressed an interest in it. So, there's a need. There's definitely a need. Monetizing that need is taking a little bit longer than we hoped, but we'll get there, and it'll work really, really well for us.
And I think that the benefits are twofold, aren't they? So they help the care system, but they also help to generate opportunities for your business in terms of supporting work that's needed by those clients.
Yes, I mean we've dubbed it the world's most complicated lead generation tool because for our business, what it does it creates clients for the legal services business with lasting powers of attorney, will writing, and court of protection deputyship work. But for the broader care industry, it's huge. There's three aspects really. The first is for care providers to consistently, accurately onboard their clients and show that they're doing the same thing all of the time, being consistent, not discriminating against anybody. Yeah. It's the unconscious bias is driven away by using an app that asks the same questions all of the time. For local authorities, trying to get people out of hospitals and as a knock-on for the NHS, it's got a huge prospect. I'm not going to say we're going to solve the bed blocking problem.
I was going to ask you about that. I think there is potential.
I think it goes a long way. I think it goes a long way to making sure that local authority, you may not know this, most local authorities have social workers embedded in hospitals because they know that they are going to get people referred to them directly by the hospital to move them out into some form of care, be that domiciliary or residential care. So those social workers who are embedded in hospitals, having access to the app, having access to ClearLines, will make their jobs far, far easier. And, once we've got a good database of care providers on there, we will be able to sort of say, these are the people who've got availability, who meet the needs of the client, therefore you can move them on. And hopefully it'll speed the whole system up.
And that matching aspect, obviously, as a data geek, really appeals to me. The fact that we're going to have an understanding of the care needs of individuals and how that appropriately fits to local care offers and local care facilities.
Yeah.
And ultimately then becoming a lead engine for those care providers, saying, this person matches your usual profile. Do you have any capacity now? And when we've got that dynamic understanding, then it really does unlock the potential for solving the bed blocking crisis.
Absolutely. And the dream, if there is a dream for it, is real-time availability. Having care providers reporting their availability or giving access to their systems that show availability in real time, so that not only can they say this care provider could provide you with care, it'll be this care provider could, and they've got capacity. Do you want to go and speak to them, or do you want them to speak to you, sort of thing?
And if there's any legal aspects that need to be solved, then all of that is understood in advance.
We do that.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's really exciting times then.
Yeah.
An app in beta that could change the world of care onboarding.
Hey, it's getting me towards my knighthood, eh?
Does the knighthood only come when you've solved the bed blocking crisis?
I think anybody who does solve the bed blocking crisis gets the knighthood, to be fair. Probably won't be me.
But that would be quite a badge to add on to the one that you got for that 2-day course.
Of course it would, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. So when you think about artificial intelligence in the wills and probate space, what do you think the opportunities are?
I have to say the legal industry is typically and traditionally very, very slow to adapt. A lot of people these days think online case management systems are the cutting edge, but of course they're not. We use AI a reasonable amount. I've created my own GPT, which is called Private Client GPT, which is...
Is it on the GPT store?
Not as yet.
Put it on.
I'm playing with it at the moment. I'm trying to make it speak with my voice.
Okay.
I'm trying to teach it to be me.
Yeah.
So it's in a learning phase at the moment. But certainly that Private Client GPT will be our sort of chatbot on our website pretty quickly. Yeah. We're using AI. We're using Fireflies at the moment for recording meetings and summarising our meetings, picking out action points. That's working quite well. Yeah. And ultimately, I can see a day where client interviews can be done by AI. So you will get a virtual me or a virtual Mariam, our Islamic wills consultant, or a virtual Kim who specialises, who does our speciality in families with disabled and vulnerable children. You'll get a virtual version of them interviewing you over a video call, and it all gets transcripted. The instructions are taken, and the wills and the legal documents are automatically generated from the output from the meeting. It's not too big a leap to get there.
I don't think it is. I think it's a bigger leap for an AI to be an executor on a will.
Oh, absolutely.
But that might make some processes easier too.
I think with everything, if you've got processes that you repeat time and time again, then AI can do it for you.
Yeah.
people say, will this replace my job? No, but it'll make it better. It'll make it easier. It'll make it more efficient.
I mean, you can do more.
Absolutely. One of the things we're looking at the moment, we're just testing is an AI app that sort of attaches to our call recording system. We record all of our telephone calls, but it attaches to our call recording system, and it records the call, it transcribes the call, it picks out action points, and then it uploads it directly to the case management system, so that you've got a full transcript of this call with all your action points without having to physically make the notes yourself.
Yeah.
Which, you think of that in terms of the time saved.
Absolutely.
It's huge. It's huge. It makes us so much more efficient.
And that full transcript's there if you need to refer back
Absolutely,
to it.
yeah.
Bullet points are all there. You've got all the information you need, but you didn't have to be diligently scribbling things down.
Correct.
I think the implementation of OpenAI's Whisper has changed the world with transcription, because now it's so easy to go from audio to accurate text, and it's been embedded in so many applications.
I have to say, I've been amazed at how accurate the text is, even when you've got people with quite strong accents, and dialects and things like that. It just seems to understand it.
And you can even throw in different language words, different language sentences, and it will still make sense of it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So have you faced any regulatory issues or ethical issues related to the use of AI? And do you see an application for them in creating legally binding documents at this point in time?
I don't think there are any ethical issues. I think, used properly, it can be a real force for good. There are areas where it could be used fraudulently, and I can see, you've got a push at the moment for fully electronic wills is being considered. Fully electronic lasting powers of attorney are being introduced this year.
And are they more efficient than the 2999 WH Smith's wills?
Watch this space. The 2999 WH Smith wills are excellent, quite honestly, because they give us the opportunity to charge people to fix the mess that they've caused. Anybody who makes a will without advice is just storing up problems for the future, and the future when they're not there to answer the questions. So that's just folly, but it's quite profitable folly for us, because we unravel the issues. No, I think the problem is fraud or undue influence. Is if you've got I don't want to tar all older people with the same brush, because my 84-year-old mother is an absolute whiz with anything online, but most elderly people are a little bit reticent. If you've got somebody coming in and saying, and we get it all the time, I want to make a lasting power of attorney for my mother. Well, you can't. Your mother has to make the lasting power of attorney and grant you the permission to be her attorney. With the advent of fully electronic lasting powers of attorney, you are going to be able to just go online and make that document for mum, and then get her to e-sign it.
It feels tenuous. There's a grey area as to how much that decision was truly by that elderly relative.
Yeah, and the law says, that it has to be a power of attorney has to be granted by the donor to the attorney, not the other way around. And it's really difficult to see how that can be policed if the system is fully electronic.
Yeah.
So there are sort of flags in the system that say possible fraud is going to rise. There's no doubt that since the pandemic, there's been a significant rise in claims against wills. There's been a significant rise in complaints about powers of attorney to the courts. So this will make the problem bigger.
And do you think the courts are equipped to handle that increase in traffic?
No, the courts went home in March 2020. They opened again 6 months later.
I was going to say, have they actually come back yet?
No, they're still experiencing delays. It depends which part of the court or the government system, I guess. So if you got a Crown Court case, then the average waiting time for an initial hearing is around 72 weeks. If you've got an application going into the Office of the Public Guardian for a power of attorney, they are averaging 28 weeks against a target of 12. And if you're applying for a grant of probate, they're averaging 26 weeks against a target of 8.
So once we've solved the bed blocking crisis, we need to go and help the court system with their initial hearing processes.
That would be an interesting thing.
Definitely get knighthood for that.
I think you've got to appoint the 1,000 judges that there are vacancies for and reopen many of the courts that have been closed.
Or build an AI that's capable of operating as a judge.
Yeah. I mean, one of my other hats is mediation, and I'm a qualified civil and commercial mediator. And actually, the backlog in the courts is quite a boom for that industry, because it means that one of the things the government has made mandatory over the last couple of years is that before you go to court, you have to attempt mediation. So that's 85,000 cases a year that goes to the civil courts that now have to at least attempt to mediate. And that's their way of kind of fixing the backlog, is to get everything mediated out before it gets to court.
Put a buffer in that might solve some of it, but definitely slows it down enough that people want to just get a resolution in.
Absolutely.
So people often raise concerns about privacy and data protection with AI.
Yep.
What's your views on it in the legal space that you're involved in?
I think privacy is always a fear, that the data might get out and somehow be misused or abused. But, it's down to us to make the right provisions, the right sort of cybersecurity measures, use the right systems that are fully encrypted and lock away the data sort of deep into however many bit encryption you get these days, so that it can only be accessed by people who are entitled to access it. We use secure lockers to hold information. So we won't send you your will normally by email. We will put it up into a legal locker, which will then send you an invite to create a password. You can get in from your end, we can get in from our end. Never the twain shall meet. You can upload, we can upload. The documents can be read, but they can't be accessed by anybody else. I know you're not a massive fan of passwords, and
I think passwords have their place, but I think the problem with passwords is people are lazy, and generally passwords follow either guessable formatting, or people reuse the same password across multiple sites. So as a layer in protection, it has its place. Do I think it's outdated and will be replaced? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, passwords, they're not my favourite.
No, I know. But, it's what we've got at the moment, and it kind of works.
Yeah.
It kind of works. And, people complain about having to, things people complain about to us is having to identify themselves through computer-based identification models, which is a legal requirement. We have to do it. We have to comply with the anti-money laundering regulations. I know it's very hard to launder money through a will because you have to die.
This is an extreme method.
It is an extreme method, but it's not beyond the wit of man to launder money through somebody else's will who's just about to die, and that has happened. So we do have to be careful. We have to be careful to ensure that when we're, dealing with anything where somebody's making a legal document, we're actually dealing with the real person.
Yeah.
And it's not, their sister pretending to be them. I'll tell you a story one day, but
Off camera, perhaps.
off camera. But it happens, and people can be despicable, and so IDing clients is where we get a lot of complaints. We get a lot of complaints where we lock things away securely, and people are like, "Why can't you just send me it on email?" Well, we can if you insist, but it's really not safe.
No.
Because it can be intercepted, it can be read, it can be amended.
And it sits on servers all over the place.
Absolutely.
So could you share an instance where AI has already significantly improved efficiency in the wills and probate process, or specifically at ClearLines?
Certainly, yeah. I'll go back to the call recording and note taking. It's just huge. We were allowing our staff 15 to 20 minutes after a long call to sit down and make their notes. Well, they don't have to do it.
It's fascinating to me. Anybody that thinks that documenting and writing minutes of meetings still has value add, it just utterly bewilders me, because the AIs do a better job.
Yeah, it's been, and we haven't rolled it out fully yet, but we will be doing. But it's where we've trialled it. It's been the biggest efficiency measure that we've ever had in the business.
Well, that's a huge win then, isn't it? And
Absolutely.
How have you found people's reaction to that change?
People are resistant to change. What if it gets it wrong? What if it doesn't record something? What if it says something that it doesn't mean? So we test it. Yeah. We test it and we make sure it doesn't do those things. We still have the call recording, and we can compare the recording against the transcript, and they are just so accurate. They really are. They're 99% accurate.
Yeah. I think you do occasionally get slips on names of people where it interprets it as something else.
Yep.
And sometimes the punctuation isn't perfect, but it's game changing.
Absolutely.
Because that time back that you get when people would have been scribbling down or even being distracted in a meeting, and actually being able to fully focus on everything that's going on and not worry about, I need to make a note of that or make sure I capture that action. It just seems antiquated to me, but it is a difficult change process. Any change is difficult to implement.
I think the biggest resistance we get, and I've tried it a couple of times and not really been successful, is trying to record face-to-face meetings, because people don't like to be recorded when they're having a face-to-face conversation. It somehow seems...
Especially not with an array of cameras.
Well, the array of cameras, we wouldn't do that.
It would just be a phone on a desk.
Just a phone on a desk. But people don't seem to like that. They seem to find that more of an intrusion. Whereas if they're doing it over Zoom or Teams or a video call or a telephone call, they don't even think about it.
Well, they don't know it's there. It's sort of that. It's almost out of sight, out of mind. And I think the other challenge with in-person is it cannot accurately record who says what.
Yeah.
So it'll be speaker 1, speaker 2, as opposed to the name of the individual tagged to their Teams account, for example.
Yeah.
So there's still a way to go in that technology, and you can get around it a little bit by saying your name at the beginning of the transcript, and it goes some way. But in-person is still quite challenging, and a lot of business is people to people.
Absolutely, and a lot of what we do, we're still probably 2/3 of our appointments are held face to face.
Yeah.
So we're not going to solve it overnight, but once we get there, once we get an acceptable way of doing it, that people don't feel intrudes too much, then again, it just makes us more efficient and changes the game again. Ultimately, our job is about people, and it's about talking to people. And the more time we can spend doing that and talking and advising and reassuring people, giving them the peace of mind that they need, the better we'll be, the more respected we'll be, and the more customers we'll get.
Well, a conversation I had with CBH on one of our earlier podcasts, they have a guided interview process where they're asking a series of questions And that process is really to get at the juicy bits, to get that understanding that might not normally come out in a conversation.
Yeah.
And if you're not having to make notes and you're able to fully focus on what's going on in the moment, provided the participant can get over the fact that they're being recorded, and sometimes that does change the start of a meeting, getting permission, and
It does.
it changes their reaction and they're a bit more nervous, I guess. But once you've got past that, you can just fully focus on diving into, okay, so you said that, tell me more about that. And that's as applicable in any business, getting to understand your customer and finding out the detail of their challenges so that you can solve it. It's priceless.
Absolutely. And, time spent making notes is time wasted in my mind.
Yeah.
And, time getting to know the person, getting to understand what's behind their initial questions is just so important.
So we're moving rapidly into 2024. What do you see as, if you could look forward 6 months, where will ClearLines be? And what impact will AI have continued to make within your business?
So ClearLines will be revenue generating. That's important. We have a target date of April 1st for it to become revenue generating. We are fortunate in that we've got a good relationship with the biggest domiciliary care provider in the country. And they've got 250 franchises, so it will be rolled out across their 250 franchises. So it'll be being used regularly. As I say, we've got 110 people who are hot to trot and ready to go. So we'll have them onboarded, and then we'll be sort of touting our wares within the care industry, making sure that it becomes ubiquitous. It becomes the go-to onboarding app for everybody.
So the Care Show this year won't be the launch of a beta of a product.
No,
it'll be shouting about the success it's already having in the market.
Absolutely. So, ClearLines is big for us. On the legal side of things, we're at the moment we're going through our audit process and we're trying to automate our audit process. We're doing it on our own cases at the moment, but the goal for that is for Q3 and Q4 of this year to roll out W&P compliance as a service to other legal firms, making sure that anybody who's in the private client space, which is the legal term for the wills and probate space, is called private client. So anybody who's in the private client space can sign up for our audit process. And we make sure that they're complying with the rules, make sure they're doing the right thing, and hopefully it'll all be done by machines. There won't be a huge amount of intervention from people unless stuff is flagged up as being non-compliant.
Human in the loop as opposed to human driven.
Absolutely, yeah. And they will deal with the exceptions.
Yeah.
And where things are put forward as being an exception, then a real life person with real life experience and qualifications will look at it and say, right, why did you do that? How did you reach this point? And ultimately, if it's done for good reasons and it's compliant, pass it off. Or if it's not, make the rectifications that need to be made. But that is a big income generator. That will be a sort of recurring income model. So people will sign up for a package of 5 files audited per month, 10 files audited per month, and they'll pay us a monthly recurring fee, which is the holy grail of a legal business, to be honest, because, excuse me, it's the holy grail of the legal business because the one thing about private client work, especially probate and estate administration, is
People don't tend to die twice.
we don't get repeat custom. No. It's, we might get mum and then dad, but we've never come across anybody who's needed probate twice.
I'm not sure how to follow that.
I'm sorry.
So we're seeing an advent of agency in artificial intelligence, where instead of just asking a question and getting words back, we're able to have tasks or series of tasks solved. Yeah. And as we move towards the introduction of artificial general intelligence, where we have this capability of agency that's greater than the capability of the average person, how do you see that changing the legal market? Do you think that we're going to have more instances of fully autonomous lawyers?
There's certainly some models out there that are trying to be fully autonomous, that are trying to offer a sort of direct to consumer, you put in your problem and we'll create everything that needs to be created and solve it for you. And there are markets where that could work.
Yeah.
Small claims court, things like that.
Disputing speeding fines.
Those sort of things can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, are you going to be able to do the full probate process? Yes, probably, until there's a dispute.
Yeah.
And so you get to a point where actually the humans get to deal with the interesting stuff, and all of the mundane, boring day-to-day stuff could be done.
Yeah.
Could be done, will be done, I'm guessing. But things like mediation, that's never going to be AI. That's looking people in the whites of the eyes and saying, come on, you really want this to go away, don't you? How far are you prepared to go to walk away today and put this behind you?
So you don't see that ever being a robot which can look
really.
into people's eyes?
Not really. It's the goal of mediation is to make everybody unhappy but prepared to walk away. Because ultimately, if everybody was going to just shake hands and be happy, they didn't need mediation in the first place. So we always say at the start of a mediation meeting, you're going to walk away from this uncomfortable. You're going to walk away from this ultimately a little bit grumpy, but in a few days' time, you'll look back at it and go, thank God.
And that person stopped you from physically coming to blows over the problem.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And we normally keep them in separate rooms.
You don't want them over a table, just in case.
Or in separate buildings in some cases.
It's an interesting one. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about ClearLines and the impact that artificial intelligence is already having in the private client market. We look forward to 2024.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you.
No worries.